Welcome, dear learners for Curious Commerce. Today we are discussed about the topic on history of finance, the part one. So first we should think that the money isn't the big idea, right? So it changes the huge in the economy. It changed the lifestyle of the common man or the any human being. It gives the n number of the opportunities. So it is a big idea. But what is the reason behind that? Who introduced this big idea in the society? Why the money matters a lot? The history of money is not just about the coins and banks. It is a very thrilling story of how people invent tools to manage risk, grow their wealth, and trade across the globe. Every time money changed, society changed too. We will track this journey from ancient civilization period to today's digital currency. So if you go through this image, it shows that the ancient medieval period to early modern and modern era. So why the civilization period or how they introduced this type of the financial transaction benchmarking for the economic growth or for to minimize the risk levels and all those things. This graphic is clearly shows the stages of financial history from ancient trade to modern digital money. It gives us the map for our journey. The first financial invention, or it also called as in the ancient or medieval foundation, when temples were the first banks, what happened in the ancient Mesopotamia? People realized their harvest, like grains or any food items, needed to be kept safe. They began storing it in the temples and palaces, which became the first secure depositors. So, in this period only, in the Mesopotamia civilization period, so we identify the first loan concept. A farmer did not just store grain, they could also take a grain loan. The extra grain they had to pay back was called interest. This basic idea of a loan is what still powers banks today. So this image shows a tablet with the world's first financial records, providing the banking started with writing down debts and deposits. Around 6th or 7th century BCE, the standardization of money concept will take place. The move from commodity money like cattle or shells or any other food items to standardized metal coinages. Trading a sheep for three baskets of dates was complicated. So that system we call as the barter system. The barter system is always the confusing, it is complicated and unstandardized. People needed something everyone agreed had value. So that's why they introduced the standardized currency. They called as in the coins. In 7th century, at the time, the economist they made a small metal disc with a consistent weight and stamp, the stamp of the kingdom or the emperor or a ruler. Now a merchant could travel far and wide knowing their gold coin would be accepted everywhere. So this is the beautiful coin as one of the world's first standardized currencies. It represents a huge leap that made trade easier and faster. The medieval solution to travel risk. When the people they were traveling from one place to another place with carrying of the gold coins, it is very risky. So that's why the development of instrument to facilitate trade and bypass the danger of transporting the metal money like the gold coins. So that's why the carrying heavy bags of golds from Florence to Venice or from one nation to another nation or one place to another place was slow and dangerous because of the pirates. That's why they introduced the concept of the bills of exchange. That is the solution. Merchants invented a paper contract that said, I promise to pay you the XXX gold pieces of coin. This paper was safer to carry than the gold itself. It was the ancestors of modern checks and wire transfers. So this image shows that the two merchants they are shaking hands over the bill of exchange. This piece of paper meant they could trade across continents without risking their lives transporting heavy metals. The age of exploration and early capitalism. Financing highly expensive and risky venture requires pooling capital from numerous investors. Just imagine sending a ship to Asia from America to buy spices was incredibly expensive and risky. If you owned a whole ship, you could lose everything. That's why they think that the midway for that concept is the giant shark company. Investors decided to pool their money to buy a teeny piece, a share of a big voyage. If the ship sank, they only lost their small share. If it succeeded, they all shared the giant profit. This is the birth of the modern corporation. This image shows that the Dutch East India Company VOC, they were the first to truly sell shares to the public. It was groundbreaking way to raise huge amount of capital. This is the first certificate in the whole world, first stock certificate. It shows how ordinary people become the owners of massive global company by buying just one share. The global marketplace or the centralized trading and risk management system. The need for a formal central location to trade these new shares and other financial contracts. So just think that if you want to sell your shares quickly or if you want to buy the any shares or any financial instrument, so where you should sell these instruments or where you can buy the instruments. That's why they create the platform. That platform they call as in the central meeting place. That central meeting place is generally called as in the stock exchange. In early days, London Stock Exchange is only the place for buy and sell the financial instruments like shares, bonds, and promissory notes. But in later stages, n number of the stock exchanges give the platform for buy and sell all the financial instruments, including the hybrid instruments. This visual aid shows that noise and excitement of the investors. This image shows the early trading floor, the central spot where buyers and sellers gather to make the emergence of public finance, fighting wars and building ports like the airport or the harbor, special defense platforms, research and development, or aviation projects or astrological projects. It cost a fortune, right? The same way, in historically also, the kings could not just ask the people for gold every year. That's why in 1694, the Bank of India was created, primarily to manage the government debt. They invented the modern bond, an IOU, where the government promises to pay you back plus interest. It means that the principal amount and what you are invest plus interest. This was the start of national debt and central banking system. So this is the original Bank of England. It looked solid because it has very serious job, the managing the country's money and its promises to pay back the. Thank you, dear learners. We continue the topic of history of finance in part second. Thank you once again. If you are interested about this type of the videos, please share and subscribe. Thank you once again.